I've always wanted to do trail, but it's been something I've always been intimidated by. Honestly, I would not be at the level I'm at right now if I didn't have them. Because, when you're training with other people, especially people who are faster than you or about the same pace as you, like that's how you get faster and you push each other. And days where you show up and don't want to run, or I'll be ready to kind of smash Crown King and give it my all this year.
Welcome, everyone. We're back with our Meet the Team series. We're your racing team managers. I'm Heidi Allen.
I'm Bryce Brooks.
And we have Abbie Tuomi with us today. So welcome, Abbie. We're really excited to have you on.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
We kind of want to just get to know you a little bit better because this is your first time on the racing team, right?
Right. Yep.
Awesome. So if you want to just give us like a little rundown of like your background, how you got into trail running, where you grew up, all those kind of questions.
So I grew up in Minnesota. I ran pretty much my whole life, tore my Achilles my senior year of high school. So that sidelined me for a little bit. But then I went to the University of Utah, and for one of their classes, they had marathon training. So that kind of intrigued me. Yeah, it was super fun. And that's kind of how I got back into running. I moved to Arizona about 8 years ago. And I work at the hospital, and I just happened to meet like someone who had just moved here as well. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm a runner, one of those. Well, we ended up started running together, and we formed this team in the West Valley, and it's just growing and growing and growing and growing. And we've been training for lots of marathons, mostly road, but obviously the running community, it's kind of like everyone knows everyone. And then I met Michael Greer, who he does Sedona and all that, and he's like, you got to get on the trail. And that's kind of how I started with that. And it's been so fun. Like, I love road, I love trail. And I think right now my focus is kind of road because I just turned 40. So I feel like I still have some fast roads left in me, but I'm also very intrigued and want to get more into trail and get better at that as well. So I'm kind of excited to see what I can do if I actually take it and just focus on trail as well.
Yeah, we were looking at your ultra sign up and we're really impressed with a lot of your performances. And you've done a lot of our Aravaipa races. Just recently, you did Mesquite Canyon. Do you want to give us a little rundown on how that went for you?
So Mesquite is probably my favorite race of this series. It's something that I try to do every year. This year, I had just done Mesa back in February, and then I did Mountain to Fountain a couple weeks later. Definitely haven't been training on the trail, and knew that it was going to be a tough one because I did the 30K a couple years ago when I had done more trail, and it kicked my butt. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'll go out and have fun. And I had a blast, but definitely not in trail shape whatsoever. But yeah, it was a good race.
Um, looking at your race resume, it's not just road or trail. There's also Spartan races in there. You have quite a variety of races that you've been running. It looks like since 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Was that when did the Spartan racing come across? 'Cause I see you're racing as an elite, podiuming.
That was just more for fun. My boyfriend does Spartan racing, and so he's like, oh, you need to try one. I did one, and just because of the running background, I think I did a beast, which is closer to like half marathon distance. And I'm awful. I have zero upper body strength whatsoever. But just because I'm a good runner, like I just dominated those races. But yeah, it's not something that like I never was really, really into. It was more just for fun.
Right on. So can we go back to 2019? First race on ultra sign up. Was that your first trail race at Damn Good Run
Yeah.
13K?
Yeah.
And what was the inspiration for that? Was that kind of like coming out of COVID looking for something to do? Was that Michael Greer's influence?
A little bit of both. I think during COVID, we did a lot more trail running. And, with around Phoenix, especially in the springtime, with road racing, there's not much. And I was like,
Mm.
I've always wanted to do trail, but it's been something I've always been intimidated by just because when I have run trail, I've fallen, and it's a lot different than running road, but I signed up and that's kind of what got me hooked. I liked it because, it still had that road in the beginning for the first couple miles
Yeah.
before you jump onto trail so you can really go after it those first couple miles. But yeah, I think that's kind of what got me hooked. And then it's just been kind of fun to see what I can do from there, even with very little training.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so fast forward to 2024, your first ultra, so ultra debut at Crown King Scramble, which it's not the most technical. It's certainly not road. Point to point uphill for anybody who's not familiar. It's like 7,000 feet in a 50K. How is that for you, going from road marathon, shorter trail races to jumping up to that first 50K distance?
That was honestly one of my favorite races I've ever done. I didn't know what to expect. Like, again, I'm so new to trails. Like, all trail is trail to me. And so when I told people I had signed up for it, they're like, why would you pick that one for your first 50K? That's all uphill. I'm like, it'll be fun. But I remember at mile, what is it, like 27, whenever you get that last aid station right before you peak and then head downhill again.
Oro Bell. Yep.
Bawling. And I said to the lady, I just want to be done. And she said, you don't have a choice. Keep going. I was like, oh. And then I'm running and I start going downhill and Nick Curry is coming up like the other way. And I'm like, where are you going?
Oh, yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm going to get another beer at the aid station. And I was like, well, how much farther do I have? And he's like, oh, just right down there. But when I got done, I was one of those things where A, I couldn't believe I had just done that. B, it was honestly probably the most fun race I've ever done in my life. It's so mentally challenging. Like, A, I'm so inspired by the people who go out and do that every single weekend. I don't know how they do it because that destroyed my body. But B, just it's a whole different level of like digging deep and going to a place you never thought you could go before. Like, a marathon is, you're digging deep, but I also know what to expect.
Sure.
With the trail, that was just like, I don't know where the finish is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Make it. I don't have, like, if I quit right now, I'm walking out of here. I don't have any way to get out, so
Yeah.
it was really, so yeah.
Awesome. That's such a good one.
And
Yeah.
you're signed up for it again this
Right.
year. Do you have
I am.
similar goals, or what
I
are you kind
do,
of looking to get out of this race?
That's like the thing with trail running for me. I'm like, I'm not a strong climber at all. I try to run fast on the flats, like to have some sort of being able to compete a little bit. But I think now that I've run it and just kind of see looking back where I went wrong, just kind of run a smarter race and not go out so hard, and hopefully be able to run on some of the hills instead of crying and power hiking up.
I mean, you did well enough to podium in a competitive field last year. I think Crown King, well, first the start is just ominous because you could see the Bradshaw Mountains in the distance, and it looks like it might as well be 100 miles away. But I think it's an interesting one because it does, like, road runners could come out and do pretty well at this one. It's not overly technical, and it's basically, I feel like it's a game of just power output.
Just
Like,
gotta put your head down and
how long can you hold high
Yeah.
watts at just and just diesel up that climb. So yeah, I think people are surprised to hear people, surprising number of people use it as their first ultra. And I think other people are surprised that they do that. And I think it usually works out better than you would think. I think that course does complement like road training fairly well.
Oh, I agree. It was one of those where before I met Michael Greer, I was like, I will never do an ultra in my life. Like, no way, no how. And then once I did Crown King, I'm like, okay, I get it now, you know. So I think I'm gonna sign up for one of the night 50Ks. I think the one at McDowell in
Oh, cool.
May. Um,
Adrenaline.
I'm like going back and forth about doing 100K this year, like probably later in the fall. And yeah, I mean, never in a million years thought I'd be saying I'm interested in doing 100K, but here we are. So
Love it.
That's what happens when you start running ultras. Where you
Crown
do one,
right.
yeah, and then you just get sucked in, huh?
it's gateway drug.
Yeah. So what would like a typical training week look like for you?
Um, so I'm up by 3:30 every day. You know, I start my day and then out the door by 4:30 to go run. I try to get when I'm in, you know, have a race coming up. I'm trying to do at least 70 miles a week. Tuesdays are always a track workout or some sort of speed workout, and then Saturday is my long run. And then I try to run just the other days super easy, keep my heart rate low, and that seemed to really work well for me. But yeah, I mean, I do Pilates, I get sports massage. I've stayed healthy, knock on wood, for quite a few years now. So I feel like this what I've been doing has been really beneficial, and I feel like I'm just getting it's been fun. So
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that your performance in your races have definitely shown the hard work that you put into your training. Like it definitely pays off.
There is one race that wasn't on your ultra sign up that I did want to ask about, and that was the Boston Marathon 2023.
yeah,
It looked like you PR'd on what is typically not the fastest course. Can you talk about that day a
uh,
little bit?
yeah. So coming into Boston, I actually had ran a PR at CIM the December before Boston. So I ran 2:44 there, and then coming into Boston, had a really good training block, and then I ended up getting kidney stones like 2 weeks before. But it was one of those things where I was like, I have trained so hard for this. I have my whole trip planned out. I'm not gonna go, you know. Um, so, but I mean, Boston is Boston. It is an experience like no other. I got to go with my whole team. Started out, it was pouring rain, but had one of the best races I've ever had. I think I ran a 2:46. So I was really happy with that, but finished like top 50 women. Um, yeah, and it was an amazing time. I'm hoping my goal has always been to qualify for the Olympic trials.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I'm hoping that this is finally the year. I'm going back and forth a little bit about doing the marathon project here in
Mm.
December, but I'm definitely going to do Boston next year. I kind of like more the hilly courses. I feel like mentally and physically, I've just like that. Those are just better for me. Like I did Mesa. I love Mesa, but it's also like there's so much flat where it's hard for me mentally to be like, just keep going, stay at this pace. Where as I have a little bit, I feel like I can hold on better. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
totally agree about Mesa. After that
yeah,
first big
crazy.
drop, it's just so flat, so difficult to stay mentally engaged when it's flat and there's
Yeah,
not, not a lot going on. I mean, you probably know the area pretty well, so it's not like the most interesting landscapes.
Yeah. What's
right.
like a race that you're most excited for? You said that you were thinking about doing 50K and 100K coming up. Do you have any other races that you're kind of looking forward to or want to train for?
Definitely Boston next year. I think that's going to be my A race that I'm going to try to go for it. I mean, I think everything's still up in the air with um, what they're going to decide about the Olympic trials and what they're going to do about qualifying times and when that window will even open. So kind of depending on that, but I would love to run a huge PR. Like I know I have it in me. I think I hate to say this, but I'm always like, life is going to settle down a little bit. So I'm hoping that will help me have a more solid training block and get like, you know, be able to run the paces that I want to. Um, but yeah, I'd love to do McDowell 50K because I mean, with Crown
Mm.
King, I can't run a fast time on that. Like, I remember watching like Megan and Lindsay last year just like run away from me on the uphill. I'm like, how are you guys running this? But just running something that's a little bit more runnable on my level and see what I can do. And then, yeah, I would love just this summer tackle trail and hopefully train towards the 100K for this fall and then go from there. But I do feel that a lot of my road success is because, from running trail races and stuff like that, I've never felt so strong in my life, both mentally and physically. So I think it's a good balance for each other for sure.
So, you mentioned adrenaline, potentially the night race and the McDowells. You mentioned McDowell Mountain Frenzy. You mentioned 100K in the fall. Is Javelina 100K on your radar at this point? Or is that something maybe we're keeping the cards close to the chest?
It actually is.
Right on.
No, that's something that I've been going back and forth about. But if I do anything, it would be that for sure. Um, and the best part about living in Arizona is you train through the heat in the summer. And so hopefully on race day, you're ready for that heat that it brings.
Yeah.
So,
And you have access to the course
we'll
to even
see.
go do some laps on it and test out the terrain. I feel like that's a really good one where it's flat with a lot of rolling hills. So I think you could put down a really good 100K time there. That'd be a really good one to go for.
I mean, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Right on. Well,
Do you?
No,
Oh,
go ahead.
Okay. So my next question was, do you have a coach or are you self-coached?
Um, so I wouldn't say that I'm self-coached, but I don't have a coach. The team that I run with in the West Valley, one of them used to be a coach and then the other one just loves anything and everything running. And so they kind of run or write our training plans together and that's what we go on. But yeah,
How many times a week are you going on runs with this group?
at least 3.
Okay. That's really fun that you've built like a little community that you can kind of do some runs with and explore with them. That's really cool.
It's so fun. Yeah. I think honestly, I would not be at the level I'm at right now if I didn't have them because, when you're training with other people, especially people who are faster than you or about the same pace as you, like that's how you get faster and you push each other. And days where you show up and don't want to run or don't feel like you have it in you, those end up being some of the best days. So yeah, I'm grateful for them for sure.
That's great.
I wanted to ask a little bit about Mountain to Fountain. So first place female, I think top 10 overall, which is just incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And winner of the team competition, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
With just 4 of you on the team, is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
So for anybody listening, it was like basically cross-country style rules for the team competition at Mountain to Fountain 15K. The winning team wins the weight of their team member of choosing in beer. So somebody has to go sit on the scale. I think you guys got like probably over 10 cases of beer. Is that correct?
And we got 13 cases of beer.
Right on.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Thank
How is that distributed amongst the team? Was it by placement? Was it by
No, so it's funny because a lot of us don't even drink. And so we I just only took a couple of cases and gave them to people that like I know like beer. But yeah, I think we just all kind of took whatever. Wasn't a big deal at all.
Okay.
But yeah, it was so fun. So that's the cool thing again about the running community is I ran with a group who runs out of the East Valley called the Delancey Loopers. And so depending on what part of the valley I'm in, there's always someone to run with and train with. And most of them are road runners as well, but some of them do trails. So yeah, it's awesome having people from kind of all over to do that with.
Can you talk a little bit about how the actual race went for you? Were you like leading from the start the whole way through, or yeah, how did that day play out?
I was, so I didn't really know what to expect because I had just done Mesa a couple weeks ago. I think I had only done one speed work since then and wasn't really sure what my legs would do because I was pretty beat up after Mesa.
Hmm.
Um, but I felt good right from the start. I was actually running with Nick and telling him about coming up the hill or coming down the hill, and he's coming back up the hill and during Crown King. But yeah, so we ran together for a little bit, and one of the guys that I run with in the East Valley was kind of like, "What pace do you want to do?" And I said, "I have no idea. I don't know where I'm at." So we just took off together and kind of went stride for stride for the first few miles, and I felt just kind of took off. So, but yeah, I mean, Mountain to Fountain, I think that's I have a lot of favorite races, but that's one of the best ones because it kind of it's challenging, but it also has that downhill portion where you can just fly and kind of let go. Um, and then the second half, rolling hills, climbing,
Yep.
and then a fast finish. So
We
that's
had
honestly, if I say the best course, like that type of course is definitely a course for me for sure.
we had I was talking to somebody out there who mentioned that it's probably the best like Boston training run that
Oh,
you could imagine up,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How so how has your build been for Crown King this year? Is that something you're training specifically for, or is it more of like a stepping stone training race?
It's more of just a stepping stone. I had so much fun last year. I knew I wanted to do it again. But yeah, that's the hard thing is like with just having Mesa last month, I was really focused on road. So, I mean, Mesquite was probably one of my very few trail races or trail runs I've done training for Crown King. So,
Hmm.
I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm hoping um, Mesquite, like my legs still felt pretty beat up from doing Mountain to Fountain just a few days prior. So I'm hoping that, just giving them some rest and hopefully mentally too, like I'll be, more rested. I'll be ready to kind of smash Crown King and give it my all this year.
Right on. We
Because,
still
I
got
mean,
like
even last year, oh, sorry, what?
oh no, go ahead.
Oh, even last year leading up to Crown King, I think I did the Mesquite Canyon half
Mm.
and that was about it. So,
And I think, was that
um,
the race that you also set the course record at Mesquite?
yeah, yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
So we'll see what happens, but I'm excited.
Cool.
Yeah, we're really excited for you. Before we wrap up, we have a couple of rapid fire questions. So we'll just start off with, what is your go-to pair of running shoe?
So for easy days, the Nike Pegasus. For races, the Nike Alpha Fly 3s. Trail
And
running, like the Nike Terra Kiger.
All right.
okay, awesome. And let's see, if you could go on a long run with any runner, who would it be and why?
I would go with Jess McLean. She's just so amazing. She coached herself to a fourth place finish at the Olympic trials. Um, she just her personality, she just everything about her. She seems so much fun, and I'd love to pick her brain on how to get faster and her goals as well. So
That's awesome. What is your go-to race fuel?
Never second.
Nice.
Awesome. And then last thing is, what's one piece of advice that you would give to a newer runner?
Just keep going. I think running can be so intimidating because a lot of people look at, you know, what it means to be a runner. But I mean, I think anyone can be a runner, first off. And second off, just make little goals for yourself and kind of make it happen every single day. And you'll be surprised at how quickly you can build. And pretty soon you're going to be start training for longer races and marathons. And yeah.
I agree. Love that. Well, I think that's all my questions for you. Do you have any?
No, I just gonna say, Abbie, we're super happy to have you on the team this year. I think your trajectory is setting you up for some big things this year, and yeah, thanks for contributing and doing all you do for the running community and sitting down and chatting with us today. And
We're really excited to see you at Crown King.
Thank you. I'm
absolutely.
excited too. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, we'll see you
All
out
right.
there. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. So thank you. Bye.
See you, Abbie.